Ladies and gentlemen, the mailbag. I'm very, very excited. Again, thank you for asking all of your questions on Twitter and on our Instagram. Twitter, again, at justbb_media. Instagram at justbaseballshow. Both will be linked in the episode description. We're going to start doing these more often as the season progresses. We still have our top 10s to get to. Those are going to be bangers. We still have win totals. We still have predictions. We have tons of those type of episodes coming. So I didn't really include those. There was a lot of questions in the comment sections about, free agent predictions for this certain team, or what do you think about their rotation, or rank these players. We're going to do those in
We're going to do
future
that.
episodes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we didn't want to ruin it, right? Standings predictions, we'll do all of that. So let's get straight into the mailbag. All right. This is a good one to start us off. Who are each of your guys this season that you are willing to hang your hat on being big breakouts? That was asked by SauceBoss0824 on Twitter. Shout out to
I
Sauce
love the
Boss.
usernames. I love the usernames every single time.
Who is the guy that you want to hang your hat on this year? Big breakout. It doesn't have to be someone who's done nothing and now you think he's going to be a Hall of Famer this year, but just a guy that you're licking your lips about. I know I have my guy. Do you want me to go first, or do you guys want to go?
I want Jack to pitch me on Casey Mize real quick.
Jack, Casey
So
Mize.
he's had a long time to get healthy and rested. He's put his feet up. He probably feels as good as he's felt since he was going into his junior year at Auburn. He's got, I mean, listen, we talk about it all the time, right? You replace a rubber band with a chain link fence when you get Tommy John. Think about how much better that split's going to be with a chain link fence holding it together, man.
Think about
it's going
it
to be nasty.
That's all
Nasty.
I needed. Okay. That's all I needed. Thank you.
I can give you mine real quick. I've got a tandem in the National League, and then I've got a pitcher in the American League. Hunter Brown, man, like Brown started so strong, and then he tapered off, and he was prone to the blow up outing. I think this guy, like with Verlander there for the entire year, he's going to go to camp with Justin Verlander for the first time in his career. And like, they're going to be in the same rotation on opening day. And Brown and Verlander, like everybody's heard the comps already. So I'm big on a Hunter Brown breakout. And then I think this year is going to be huge for the tandem of Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn in St. Louis. I think this is a bounce back year for St. Louis, and Walker's going to hit 30 homers, and Wynn is going to be on SportsCenter top 10 once a week.
I love it.
Arm.
Yeah, I got a few, but I'll start with I'll start with the more low hanging fruit, just because I said the same thing last year and then he got hurt. Vinny Pasquantino doubling down. I have no doubts in my mind that as long as he's healthy for the duration of the season, he's going to go absolutely crazy. And especially now that this team's a little bit more inspired, right? It's a team that's, again, I don't know if compete is the word, but competitive is the word. And I think that's going to, bring the best out of a lot of these guys. But I think Vinny, it's the same thing as the Kerry Carpenter thing, where I'm just like, I will bet on that bat every single day of the week. But I honestly think Vinny has, even more raw juice in there and a better feel to hit. So I think he's going to go absolutely crazy. And then Bo Naylor, we really started to see him settle in. The Guardians have their catcher here, and he settled in, had a really nice finish to the season. But I think he's going to have this kind of, I don't want to set him up for failure, and I don't think he's going to be that insane. But the way William Contreras arc was really fascinating. I don't think it's going to be that insane, but I do think it's going to be one of those situations where you start looking at the numbers after a few months and you're like, and this guy's one of the better catchers in the league. And with Naylor's athleticism, the way that he can swing the bat from the left side, also extremely patient, walks a ton. I think he's going to be a guy that ends up putting together a really, really nice full season for the Guardians. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's a 4 or 5 win player. And then the last one, CJ Abrams. I talked about him a bunch at the end of the season. I love what, the adjustments that he made at the end of the year, started tapping to more power, started to really drive the ball in the air more consistently. And also the approach just seemed to be a little bit more refined with the defense coming along at short too. And we know that he can be one of the best base stealers in the league. I think CJ Abrams could have a monster season this coming year for the Nationals.
I have two guys. One's a pitcher, one's a hitter, and they're both on the same team. And they're both Detroit Tigers.
This is your Tigers year. We're going to be hearing a lot about the Tigers in 24.
I really think we are. I'm going to start in center field. I think Riley Green is going to have a crazy year. You look at a lot of batted ball data, even got unlucky with a 796 OPS. I think he's got more juice in the tank when it comes to home runs, right? He only hit 11 last year. I think that's going to be closer to the 20 range. And when we're looking at a center fielder with plus speed, he's a good glove out there. He's just a really, really good hitter. And I expect him to drop the K rate a little bit. It's dropped year over year. I think he's kind of the next center fielder that we look at, ranking him in the top 5 when we go to 2024. And remember, he's only 23 years old. I think this is going to be a great year for Riley Green. Only issue is he plays in Comerica, so the power might be a little bit lower, but he's going to hit a lot of home runs away from Comerica Park. Big fan of Riley Green in 2024. And number 2, I think this guy's going to win the Cy Young. So it's not necessarily a breakout per se because he's been good, but I think he takes that next level to what I think could be a bona fide ace in this league, Tarek Skubal. He's everything that I love in Cole Reagans, except he's proved it more. And the reason I say that is last season he was a little bit banged up. When we came back, put up a 2.80 ERA and a 2.30 expected. The changeup he's starting to throw, because he always had the four-seam fastball that's sitting 96 where he was last year, a lefty sitting 96 with ride. Then you give him a changeup so he can go to both sides of the plate because he's already had the great slider, and he's got the sinker, and he's got a curveball. He has all the makings of a frontline starter. He also got the size of a frontline guy, 6'3", 240 pounds. This guy, I think, when you're looking at pitchers to have that massive breakout to become that Cy Young level candidate, Tarek Skubal should be at the top of most people's list. I think as long as he stays healthy, he could become arguably the best left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball. That's how good I think he can be.
I was looking at the way too early BetMGM odds, and it was pretty eye-opening to see how high up Skubal was on there. In the American League, I think he was, top 5 shortest odds. So clearly the sports books are already protecting themselves from the Skubal breakout a little bit.
That's the thing, dude. I went to go hammer the Tigers. I
The
thought
odds
they would
aren't
be
good.
undervalued. The books are ahead of me, right?
Yeah,
the Tigers are ahead of the Guardians. The Tigers are really up there with the Twins in order to win this division. And I'm thinking to myself, everyone's texting me because I've been so lively about the Tigers. Peter, when we betting on them, I'm saying to myself, the value's not really there, right? Like, that's what we do. We try and find value, and the books are ahead of us on that. BetMGM, smart cookies. All right, next question on the mailbag. What are we looking at here? What is your favorite TikTok you have ever made? Mine has to be Peter making the Rockies into World Series champs. Asked from Lil DJ227 on Twitter. That's when basically I said Cal Quantrill signed with the Rockies. But I wanted to form this question into your favorite piece of content that Just Baseball has ever made or that you've taken part of. Maybe your favorite interview, Aram, you on the call up, Jack, just anything from the Just Baseball show or a video that you've made on YouTube. What has been your favorite piece of content that you've been a part of at Just Baseball?
Well, I looked at it from like the social video perspective, like the TikTok lens. And I remember you did like the template create in 162-0 team, right? That was a huge thing in 2022, 2021, 2022. So I immediately made a 68-win team, I remember, in like late spring, early summer. And it was like Kyle Gibson was my starting pitcher and Adam Simber was my reliever. And I had a good time doing that. So I think that was my favorite one.
What about maybe your favorite interview that you've had on the Just Baseball show? You've had so many.
Let me think about that. You go.
Yeah, so I'm going to say there's been a couple just like random episodes that we've done, like the mailbag type episodes that have definitely been like the most fun I've ever had on this show. But in terms of like unique content, a little bit of recency bias, but like the Yamamoto YouTube video that Will and I were able to put together, like that was really cool for me because like that was kind of uncharted territory. I didn't know how that was going to go. And if you haven't seen that yet, like go check it out on our YouTube. It's just kind of a whole breakdown of 8 to 10 minute video of everything you need to know about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And, we've been having conversations all off season about, how we can scale up the YouTube and things like that. But I'll be honest, when you're making that first longer form video, it's a little intimidating. It's like, what if I put all of these hours into this and no one gives a shit and whatever. And then, working with Will and seeing what he whipped up and putting it all together. And then, all of the research kind of turning into a nice, cool little story. It was super fulfilling. Like, it was a really cool feeling when we put it out, and gets me juiced up and amped up about, what we're going to be doing, on the YouTube side moving forward. But then the other side of it is, I think full circle, like Cal Quantrill coming on was pretty fucking funny. Like, I got to look a guy in the eyes and be like, I was legitimately preying on your downfall all year. But like, it's not personal, bro. No. And like, he was just such a good sport, but also beyond that, like, we had a phenomenal conversation about like pitch data. And I mean, this is a brilliant guy as well. So like, the duality of literally one of the funniest like bits that we've had and like just clowning on the show, but then on top of that, like, he's teaching us stuff about the way that he attacks hitters despite not being a data darling, and his Stanford education starting to shine through. Like, that was a really layered conversation that, I mean, if you told me a few years ago that we are going to have that, and no freaking way.
Totally agree with you. Cal would probably be at the top of my list. Well, other ones that I really enjoyed. I talk about this all the time, but the Joe Posnanski interview was one of my favorite conversations I've ever had.
We got to try to get him back on for you, man. I mean, I feel like you got to miss him at this point. You mentioned it like 30 times, which I love. We got to get him back for you.
Talked about baseball history, talked about the Negro Leagues, talking about just dead ball era baseball. He was just an encyclopedia of baseball history, and I got every single one of my questions answered, and I have about 50 more. I remember the Google Doc I wrote up in questions, and Arm's like, we don't have him for like 3 hours, right? I think I wrote down 25 to 30 questions that I had, and the 10 or so that I picked out, he answered incredibly. Such a nice guy. Talked to us after. Just check out Joe Posnanski on Twitter. He's got a great podcast that I love. He's written plenty of books. The Baseball 100 I have. He's a guy that is, again, one of the smartest baseball people I've ever talked to.
A historian.
And also the interview with Nestor was so much fun.
Dude.
I mean, the story that one of my favorite TikToks, again, relating back to that, was him talking about how he takes the subway to Yankee Stadium. Just the most down-to-earth guy, just one of the boys. Like, you never would have known he was Nestor Cortez Jr. And that was off the cusp of his real breakout year with the Yankees, where the mustache took everybody by storm, and he seemed to be the king of New York, and he was like hanging out, with one of your boys just watching sports or something.
He was in his garage, just in his garage talking to us, basically. It was really cool, and I've talked about it, like my uncle coached him, in Miami. So, my uncle was just saying how he's just, unchanged and just the same dude that, kind of came from humble beginnings. And it's always cool when you can talk to somebody and still see that person that you were hoping to see. That sometimes they say, like, don't meet your heroes. I'm not saying Nestor Cortez is our hero, but like, it applies to like, someone that you see in the public sphere and then you see them privately. Sometimes it can be disappointing. There's nothing better than when it's validating and it's exactly, how you were hoping the interaction would be.
And Jack, I'm sure you're going to mention Walker Buehler, of course. Like, that has changed this show. He has been so awesome to us, talking to us after, we end the record, and he's really developed into our friend. Like, I consider him a friend, and he's just been so incredible to the show, so incredible to us, and we really hope that everybody has enjoyed him. And he's going to be back for, the rest of the regular season, which is a really cool announcement. And he has just been incredible. But I thought picking him would kind of be unfair because we get to talk to him.
It's low-hanging fruit.
It's low-hanging fruit. Walker Buehler. I mean, people forget how damn good Walker Buehler was. Go check the stats. Dude is a stud.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I've had a great time listening to the Just Baseball show. You guys did the Cal interview. I loved that. You guys did Nestor. Pitching Ninja. I loved when you guys did Pitching Ninja. Lizardo was a very fun one too. Tanner Bybee was great.
Steele was great. Justin Steele was awesome.
Steele was great. You guys did a great thing with Steele. I guess for me, like maybe the first time Walker came on, because you guys knew I was pounding the pavement for him in 21. Like
Oh,
first year of the show was just dedicated to like this
Which
motherfucker
is,
should win the
yeah,
Cy
that was the
Young.
crazy full circle thing too. Because beyond Peter running into him in the All-Star game, um, Jack had been like the biggest Walker Bueller fan when we were like project the plate pod, like
top
trying to
five,
trying
top
to get
three.
everybody on
Yeah.
on that radar. And then I'd say one more that was really awesome to me was Davis Schneider,
Mhm.
who actually just got a round in with him on Monday at Jeff Conine's charity golf tournament, which by the way, they raised over $500,000 for Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, 30th annual. So congratulations to Jeff Conine and Cindy as well. Like they have just done amazing things, raising money for a hospital that helps so many children and their families. But Davis, just his story, signing for 50,000, the adversity he's overcome, and all those things on the call up was a really really. I think that was probably the most like emotional conversation I've had on the call up, and that was definitely something that was really powerful, that I've sent to family members that don't give a shit about baseball that came away like very moved by it.
So adding one more to that, I loved your conversation with Michael Stefanik on the call up.
Yeah, another
Stefanik was a
awesome
great
story. Like
conversation.
I was sending out his highlight tapes to teams and saying, "Sign me to your complex team, please." And now he's in the big leagues. Like stuff like that is just that gets me going.
Let's move on to the next question. Who are some sneaky good prospects everyone should know about? Asked by Wesley Rackley 12 on Twitter. You guys are the prospect people. I have my Yankee guy. I know my system. Other than that, I rely on you folks. So we'll start with you guys. Aram, who do you like?
Okay. I have a few different names. I'll start with a Rocky because it's always Rocktober. Cole Carrick. So they just drafted him. Jack has had to hear me talk about this guy probably too much already. I'm so pumped on Cole Carrick. So like you look at the college numbers, San Diego State, not that great. They're fine. But a freak athlete, switch hitter, plays a great center field, also plays a good shortstop. And so he makes some swing adjustments, and just watching the first 30, 40 games of professional baseball, I'm like, okay, this looks like a much better operation here. I think Carrick is going to go absolutely nuts this coming year, and I think he's a guy that could end up becoming a top 100 prospect. I think the Rockies did a really good job with their last draft class, and I'm seeing something kind of change a little bit here with the way they're going about their business. So really excited about Carrick with the speed, sneaky pop combination, and the defensive value and versatility. Jack, I don't want to steal him from you because are you going to mention Lorenzo?
No, I'm not.
Wow. Okay. Because I would have bet a lot of money on you mentioning Lorenzo.
Wow.
Nope.
Tyron Lorenzo, catcher with the Dodger system. Not only
Another
do I
one?
think
Another one?
Yes. Yes.
Dude.
I think
60 of them.
I think he leapfrogged Cartaya already for us, and crazy power. The defense is already fine enough, and this is a guy that can really run into baseball. He's had a really nice year last year, really young. Lorenzo is a guy that I think is Jack. We were talking about it when we did the Dodgers top prospect episode. Like this is a switch hitter that at 19 years old was demolishing baseball. It was 25 bombs, a 90th percentile exit velocity of 106 miles an hour, which is insane. MLB average is like 103.6, and that was as a 19-year-old. So he's going to continue to get stronger and hit more bombs. Switch hitter with that kind of power at the lower levels. He's got to, cut the whiff a little bit, but he doesn't chase. So I love that. And then Jairo Iriarte, San Diego Padres right-hander. Not only do I think he is one of the more underrated pitching prospects in baseball, he is a just baseball top 100 prospect. But I think he's a guy that could help them as soon as this year. The command is the one thing, that we're kind of waiting to see, can totally come along. But he's 21 years old last year. He's 6'3", electric righty. Average 96 miles an hour with the fastball, has a disgusting slider at like 85. And then he started to throw a changeup in the low 90s that is just that power changeup that gets a ton of ground balls. It's very Marlins pitcher-esque, but I would say with a better fastball. So I think Iriarte could be a problem. And it's no coincidence that he struck out. If you look at his final, holy crap, if you look at his final 12 starts of the season, 40% K rate. Look out for Iriarte.
Fastball slider combo from hell. I like that you mentioned Lorenzo because offensively, like I'm not talking defensive prowess. He's got some defensive questions, right? It's like rushing-esque,
Yeah.
where he might be a first base, might be a DH, whatever. Offensively, think of him like Cal Raleigh, where he's going to
Yeah.
punch out, but he might hit 30 bombs. And
Mhm.
as a 20-year-old this year in high A, he might hit 30 bombs.
Yep.
That's the kind of guy we're looking
And
at
walk.
with Tyron Lorenzo. And walk.
Would they take Austin Wells for him?
No, they wouldn't.
Why not?
I know. But they did take Vivas for Sweeney, which was good.
I like Vivas.
So I kind of went a different route with my two guys. One of them is probably going to be the everyday shortstop for a major league team this year. Darryl Hernandez, like people should get familiar with that name because if you happen to turn on an Oakland A's game, and I don't blame you if you don't, but if you do, chances are you're going to see Darryl Hernandez playing shortstop, and he's going to play a good shortstop, and he's going to be a better offensive piece than you may expect. Like this is no Kevin Smith. Like this is hitting the elevate button on Kevin Smith, who I know was a dark horse rookie of the year candidate for Peter Rappel.
I was like, hey, it's the year is 2022. Kevin Smith is plus 7,500 to win rookie of the year. And there weren't like a lot of crazy front runners. Like, there was, of course, the good guys, but I was like, he's going to play every day.
Yeah.
Not good, but he might play 150 games. He'll probably just get enough to be up there. And he did play a lot, and he was horrible.
Yeah, he was really bad. Way worse than I thought he would be, to be honest. I thought he'd be all right. I was like, that's worth a flyer. He's got some juice.
He didn't even make like the A's roster when they were terrible. That was a bad pick. But that's what you get sometimes, 75-1.
Hernandez is great, though. I think that's part of the reason. I'm not even kidding. I think part of the reason why the Orioles have not made a trade is because of the Hernandez deal. They gave up Hernandez for Cole Irvin. And I think there's like this skittishness now of like, oh my God, we don't want to trade the wrong prospect
do that.
again.
Yeah.
Because that was a horrible trade. Like objectively terrible. Hernandez is going to be an everyday middle infielder, I think. And I think that's a great dark horse one because again, he's going to play. There's no reason not to play him. And the difference here is he can hit, he can run, he can do a little bit of everything. But that was a mistake.
And two pitchers, one of them we just talked about on the call up, the Pirates, Jun-Suk Shim.
I was going to leave that one for you. I was thinking about mentioning him. Alien. I can't wait.
Alien. Like top at 99 with the heater, the most disgusting slider you've ever seen. He's working on a split, right? What's the word there?
Yeah, he's working on a split. And if you want to read more about him, go look at our Pirates top prospect list. I ranked him like 6th, and he's thrown eight innings professionally.
Big money Korean international free agent guy.
Like it's a 3,000 RPM breaking ball. Fastball is just right out the act. Like it's crazy if he can stay healthy. And the injury was an ankle thing. So like it's all good.
Yeah. And another guy who I think can become maybe the best left-handed pitching prospect in the Dodgers system. And like we know, hey, those guys like get used sometimes.
What?
No, not Ferris. I was going to say Robleski, but Ferris will probably pass him now. But Robleski, I think, can just be a rocket ship.
That all of you guys have Dodgers people. I mean, come on, this team.
They're really good, man. Justin Robleski is an older guy. I kind of view him as this year's iteration of Frasso, Hurt, Sheehan, Nastrini, like that crop. It's going to be Robleski this year, where we're looking at him dominate in Tulsa, and it's like, wait, this guy can help the big league club right now.
The Dodgers signing James Paxton pissed me off.
Yeah, that one was annoying.
I mean, what are we doing? That was just we can, why not?
Yep. Yeah. Robleski's dirty, though. I will say, like, average 95 with the fastball. I don't think he's going to be stretched out enough to be a consistent starter. So they might just bring him up, have him be a multi-inning reliever.
Like Kyle Hurt.
Yep, and just blow fuzz past hitters.
So, again, I'm not the guy to ask this question to, but I will just pitch my guy to Arm and Jack. You guys tell me if you know much about him, if you like him. Brandon Maea.
Yes.
Top international prospect that the Yankees got in 2023. Signed for $4.3 million. I've been watching him hit a lot on these YouTube videos and whatever I can find. He's got a lot of Glaber in him in terms of a hitter. And he's got a 70 run tool, and he's expected to stick in center field. This is a guy that the Yankees went all in on in the international free agent market, and they have been hitting on these guys. 18 years old. The swing looks so much like him. He's got power in that bat. He is really, really exciting. And in my opinion, like I said, Imagine Gleyber Torres with a 70-run tool in center field. That's how I'm looking at him. Or am I
I think
a little bit too high on him? I assume I am.
I think that's the ceiling. Like I do
Yeah,
think that he's that like talented. That's a guy that like I generally don't subscribe too much to the IFA hype unless I'm able to get, a little bit of video and a little bit more info. And like that's a guy that I was able to, and I'm very excited. We're doing the AL East now, and as we go through the top prospect rankings, we just did the Orioles. And Maillet is a guy that we'll have up there. I don't like to push those lower level guys up too much. There's usually one guy in a system that I just really like. I like Maillet, I think more than a lot of people like maybe Arias. Like I see people getting really pumped about Arias. I think Maillet could end up being the better player and is a little bit of a safer profile. He's got a little bit more to prove. Arias, now has done it for a few more games and, has been around a little bit longer, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Maillet leapfrogs him, across the industry after, being able to play a little bit more this year.
In rookie ball as a teenager, almost a 400 OBP. You saw the power, 27 strikeouts, 22 walks,
Yeah.
and a bunch of bags.
He'll play at 17 years old.
I'm getting excited. All right, next one is a good one. Top 3 broadcast booths in Major League Baseball.
This is Jack's wheelhouse.
It was asked by AJ Laugh 3 on Twitter. Jack McMullen, future big league broadcaster. I will slam my hand on the table until that happens, and
Yes.
it will happen. It's not an if, it's a when. Your top 3 right now in Major League Baseball.
Gary, Keith, and Ron are not in it. The Mets TV booth is not in it. And I know that is like the consensus number one for everybody. And I understand, like, hey, they're really good. But for me, I appreciate silence a lot. Like as somebody that does it and as somebody that was like trying really hard to like push my way into games for like a long time, I envy the comfort level of a lot of these announcers when they can just not talk. And Gary, Keith, and Ron, like 3-man booth, it's really hard to not talk. So like there's always a conversation and like it gets a little overstimulating for me because I think baseball is best consumed when you're doing something else and you have it on. And it's like, hey, it's a passive watch versus the Mets. I feel like I'm actively watching. So I love them. They're top 5. They're not top 3. Also, Mets radio, Howie Rose, Keith Rad, they're awesome. My number 1 is the Giants. It's Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow on TV, and then it's John Miller and Dave Fleming on radio. Like that is amazing. Doesn't
They were
get
my
better.
top 3 as well.
Yeah. The Cubs are number 2. Boog Shambi and Jim DeShays on TV, Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer on the radio. That is amazing, amazing matchup. And then number 3 is the Phillies. John Kruk is fucking hilarious.
He's awesome.
Tom McCarthy gets the best out of him. So it's Tom McCarthy and John Kruk on TV, and then Scott Fransky is one of the best radio guys in baseball. So that is my top 3. I will say the Tigers' new tandem of Jason Benetti on TV, Dan Dickerson on radio is going to be awesome. And then I love Seattle too, which is Dave Sims, Rick Rizzer, and Goldsmith.
Great.
Yeah, they're great. So those are the ones that like if I have the opportunity to watch those booths, I do that.
Arm?
I mean, of course, you got to go Joe Davis and Oral. I mean, that's again, that's kind of an obvious one, though. I would say Hershiser is probably one of the better pitching minds that you're going to get in a broadcast situation. Then I don't need to pitch anybody on Joe Davis. I mean, that's just about the gold standard. And then again, another obvious one, but just want to make sure that I'm shouting him out because anytime I'm watching a Padres game, I'm making sure that I'm on the Padres broadcast. It's not even about like, and Jack could probably get into the nuances of what makes a broadcaster really good and talking about letting the game breathe is one aspect of it. But there's something about Don Orsillo's enthusiasm that just makes me more excited to watch the game. And especially now that the Padres, I know it wasn't as exciting for them last year, but that they're a star-studded fun team and he's, kind of the voice of that. I really enjoy that. So I'd say the Padres are up there for me too. And then, I'm always going to side with Boog, Boog and Benetti, but Boog Shambi is just a great human being and always a blast to listen to and talk about another guy who just loves being in the booth.
Yeah, my top 3, you guys all mentioned them. Number 1, Gary, Ron, and Keith for the Mets.
Oh, they're great.
Number 2, Goldsmith, Riz, Sims with the Mariners. And number 3, Fleming, Kuiper with the Giants. The Yankee booth I like, but it's got to be Michael Kay and it's got to be David Cone. And I like Paul O'Neill, but it's like those two I watch every time. The other guys, I like Flaherty. I like these guys, but when it's Michael Kay and David Cone, those are my favorite 2 guys of the Yankees. But they still don't make my top 3. Like the Mariners, that call, and it's been shown 100,000 times, Jack. That base hit to left. The Mariners take the lead. Dave Sims just going crazy. Then he has this level of silence there, and you're just hearing the Mariners crowd go ballistic. And he goes, "Hey now, hey now." That is becoming one of my favorite calls of all time. And when it's midnight and I'm in my bed just watching Mariners games and it's Dave Sims, like that's why I will stay up. Regardless of the bet, like I just love hearing them talk about baseball. And then their calls, it just feels like every game means more to Dave Sims than maybe any other guy in the booth. I think every pitch, every out means more to Dave Sims than any other broadcaster.
Yeah, you toe the line of being tonally bought in, but also having the audience want to have a beer with you. And I think that is the best announcer. It's like, okay, you clearly care about the team. I want any fan of the team that I'm calling games for to want to meet me at the local watering hole after the game. And
I will say that's John
Sadak
Sadak for me.
That is John Sadak. He's damn good. And he like legit does meet fans at the local watering hole, which is so cool.
He's awesome. He that's Cincinnati Reds. Like he's super engaged in like the social media aspect of it, engaging with fans, promoting, work of maybe smaller, outlets that are putting good work in with the Reds. He's shared even, our Reds top prospect stuff. Like just a guy that's always trying to learn more too, like outside of, the circle of the information that he gets. And that's a cool guy too that I know Cincinnati loves.
Yeah.
Next question. All right. Predictions for the last 4 to 5 big ticket free agents: Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell, Hector Neris, etc. And then follow-up question: will the lateness create a cat and mouse game between teams and players? We'll answer the first question first. Like kinda, in a way. Like I feel like when you're going down in the February, we're starting to pitchers and catchers report, kind of. But right now, still on January 24th, I don't think so. Like a lot of these free agents, their deals get extended into, the February time.
So, Boris is historically not given a shit too. Like Boris is told guys, hey, we'll start the season, not on a team. Didn't he do what he did with Grandal, with JD, if I'm not mistaken as well? Like
Conforto sat out an entire season.
Yeah, if you're going to play chicken with Boris, like I'll tell you what, you're probably not going to win that one because he doesn't care. And he somehow convinces his players not to care. I think yes and no, but ultimately, I think the aspect that makes it interesting is, do teams start to say, okay, we'll just pivot and go trade for an arm? And I think what Boris is probably resting on right now is, okay, go get Cease. Go find out what the asking price is. Okay, go get Luzardo. Go find out what the asking price is. Oh, Burns? Yeah, he's not available anymore. The Brewers are adding. So, I think from that lens, it's it's swinging back into the favor of Boris. And, I don't see too many other arms. I think that's why the Marlins are so keen on potentially moving an arm, even if it's not Luzardo, because it's like, what else is out there? Teams may actually be very interested in Edward Cabrera in this kind of market. So I think from that lens, it's almost getting to the point where teams can't even afford to have that standoff anymore, because I think guys are going to swoop in here and start signing people. So I don't think we'll have that old fashioned standoff the way we did in some previous years.
Jack?
I think as soon as like players show up to Arizona and Florida, that's probably when the cat and mouse starts, but we're 3 weeks away from that. And I'm not talking pitchers and catchers. I'm talking like the team, because I was having a good conversation with Taylor Davis about this too. Like, okay, when do things actually change heading into opening day for a player? When does a pitcher's regimen change? Does it? Like, it might not, right? So, like,
regardless
you can
if they're
be
on
fully
team
ready.
or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we're
I've
watching
seen that.
Bueller right now. Like, and no matter if
Yeah,
you're on a team or not, you're still doing your
You're doing your
routine.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
and dude, like, not to, I'll bring this guy up, but like, I've seen fucking Bauer tweet that, like, hey, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. That guy hasn't been in a big league clubhouse for 2 years, 3 years. So, like, this guy, I hope he doesn't get an opportunity in Major League Baseball, but if he were to get one, I think that guy can jump in and throw. As long as he has the signs with his catcher, he's good. So, like, a Montgomery and a Snell, there's no urgency for me. Like, this guy can sign the day before opening day and be ready for opening day.
Agree.
Yeah.
And I think the agent knows that. I think the teams know that too. And Arm, you're right. I mean, you laid it out. That's why I said kinda. And I really wanted to talk about Boris is going to say, go
Go make a trade. I dare
make
you.
a trade. I dare
Yeah.
you. And then it's going to be like, you call the White Sox. They're like, we want your entire farm system for Dylan Cease. And
Yes.
it's like, well, shit. You call the Marlins. We want your entire farm system and then 2 more guys.
And we want
Jesus
some big
Soto.
league guys too. Yeah. Like it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But let's predict these last few guys. We could go more rapid fire because we're going to be fucking wrong anyway.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't know if this guy's number one. This is just how I listed them. I think Matt Chapman goes back to the Blue Jays. They still need a third baseman. I don't think they're just going to go with Kevin Biggio. Makes sense there. The Blue Jays also have barely spent this offseason. So you say, hey, we're bringing back the top third baseman on the free agent market. I know we already had him, but we're bringing him back. I think it'll make Blue Jays fans happy and make their team better. And he's used to that. I don't see any other team really coming out of the woodworks and just giving him the money that he wants. And I think the Blue Jays will rationalize it when they don't get a Blake Snell or they don't get anybody else on the market. And they say, all right, we whiffed on Ohtani. We've kind of whiffed on everybody. At least give us back Matt Chapman. They already did that legitimately with Kevin Kiermaier. Number 2, Jordan Montgomery. I'm going to be boring. I think he goes back to the Texas Rangers. I think the Texas Rangers are one pitcher away from being a prohibitive World Series favorite. And who better than the guy who was the dog for you in the World Series? You know, those talks have opened back up again. I think J-Mont goes back to the Rangers. Blake Snell, he wants $200 million. Who's the one team who would give the guy big money, who we're going to say it doesn't make any sense? And
The
it's
Angels.
like, why are they going for it?
The Angels.
I think he goes to the Los Angeles Angels. And again, doesn't make much sense, right? What are the Angels even doing? But then they go out and get Robert Stevenson. They go out and get Matt Moore. They're adding. They didn't have to spend Ohtani money on him. Go get Blake Snell, I guess.
Speaking of returning, by the way, Matt Moore, after that whole situation, does he have Stockholm syndrome?
I think so.
Why would you go back to the Angels?
Money.
Oh my
Money.
gosh. After they literally started a domino effect that caused you to have to bounce around the country for a month. And then you're going to go back there. And the reason why that domino effect happened was because they wanted to avoid the luxury tax. That's crazy to me. But anyway, continue.
He went back because of money.
Yeah.
That's why he went back.
Yeah, of course.
And then number 4, Hector Neris. I do think he goes to the Yankees. The Yankees have been, at least at the top of the market for him. And at first, I remember I quoted he wanted a 3-year, $50 million deal. That was reported. That has definitely come down. We're looking at probably 2 years, around 17 or 18. We're looking at between 8 to 9 million per year for Hector Neris over a 2-year contract. I know, Jack, it's the market. What do you want me to say?
No, dude, like I'd pay that guy 2 for 25 if Chapman.
No, yeah, that's the
half.
new report, and I don't know how much money he's going to get, but it does seem like the Yankees have been the most aggressive in his market. So I'll say he goes to the Yankees. They need a good bridge to get to Clay Holmes because Loaizaga is just hurt too much, but he's still nasty, and I think he'd be a good addition. Especially they're losing Wandy Peralta most likely, and that's a big blow to them. So I think they get Neris. Jack.
I'll go rapid fire. I think J-Mon is still a Red Sox because of the dermatology. Yeah, dermatology. Yeah, because of the residency thing, like the weird spin that I created on it. I'm just going to stick to it. And the Red Sox, like they've been in the hunt for everybody, and they're clearly like not willing to spend on anybody. So when do they just panic? And it's like, oh, all right, we got to get somebody to make
Jack,
sure people show up.
I feel like we're doing that again. Like you admitted that the Red Sox are not spending any money, but you're like, I bet they do here. Why would they?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just playing the hits, man.
Did you see at their fan fest, the president of baseball ops, got just booed.
Yeah.
Deafening
Yeah.
boos in that building.
Really
Good.
toughy.
They deserve to boo him. You're the
I
Red
mean,
Sox.
the Red Sox just booed their team president. The White Sox canceled their fan fest. So
That's
we're in a really bad situation for both those
Bad
places.
time to be a Sox.
Bad time to be a Sox. That being said, I think J-Mont signs a deal with the Red Sox. I do like the Snell to the Angels pitch. I wonder if he takes a 3-year deal in Seattle because he clearly wants to be in Seattle for some reason. And that would be so far and away the best rotation in baseball. It's not even close.
It's just like, is that your prediction? Like, what are they doing? Like, they got to add
What do you mean?
bats. Like, what are they going to add another pitcher? No,
They
I'm talking
added
about
Garver.
the Mariners.
Yeah, no, I know. They added Garver.
They need more than that.
Sure, but hey, what if you run
They also
out
gave up
Castillo,
Suarez.
Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, Wu, and Snell?
That's 6
Don't need a
guys.
bat.
I mean, you're running a 6-guy rotation. They got to trade one of these guys for a bat if they're going to do that. I don't know. I don't know.
Man, Bellinger, I think, is a Cub.
I forgot about Bellinger.
Yeah, the more the days tick on, the more I'm just like, yeah, this is going to happen again. And I think the Cubs also double down and go get Neris. I think that it's a hard bridge to Alzolay in the back end, and I think that the Cubs could really use Neris.
I like that. I forgot about
Then
Belly.
where's
I
Chapman
would
going?
agree. Cubs.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Chapman doesn't want to. I don't think Chapman goes back to Toronto. So and that's why I think Chapman ends up. So San Francisco is an interesting situation.
You love the Giants.
I think that they're going to do something. Did you give all your predictions, Jack?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of, I'm just going to be different, give a reasonable chaotic prediction. Cause like Peter said, they're all going to be fucking wrong anyways.
Yeah.
I will start with Bellinger. Los Angeles Angels.
Perfect.
They want offense.
Yes.
Artie Moreno prefers spending on offense. Go get Bellinger, who's the team that's silly enough to meet the steep asking price. Bang, bam,
bang. Love it.
Makes sense. And they could use him in center field. Trout, again, I've been saying for a while now, please just move him to a corner, DH him some days, preserve him. I think it makes a ton of sense, and it gives them upside. If Bellinger plays out of his mind, then you've got something fun there, and you've got some marketability still, and you've added some star power at least. And for Bellinger, he gets to go back to LA, and I'm sure he still has a pretty decent life for himself out there. He's only been away for really a year. That would send Matt Chapman to the Cubs, which again, I just think that the outfield situation for the Cubs would push them to go get a Matt Chapman instead and put him at third and feel good about their current outfield situation. And then who else do I have here? We have Blake Snell.
Angels.
Giant.
Also.
Blake Snell's a Giant.
No, they already got Blake Snell and Robbie Ray.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They did.
They did. That's a tough one.
Just say Angels.
I still like Blake Snell. I still like Blake Snell to the Giants.
You got to force him in there.
And then who else do I have?
You did Bellinger. You have not said Chapman. You just don't think he's going to Toronto.
No, so I think Chapman's going to Chicago, and then J-Mont. I think so. Here's the thing. I think J-Mont is either a Texas Ranger. You look at that rotation, what it's going to be. I know guys are going to come back, but going into the beginning of the season can get away from them quickly.
Yeah.
If they don't add another arm there to the fold. So I do think he goes back to Texas, but I wouldn't sleep on Philly either. I know they're right at that threshold, but they did make some offers. They reportedly put out an offer on Yamamoto. They've been in on some other arms. J-Mont's going to be more affordable, and they've got some guys coming off the books in the next couple of years. I could imagine that J-Mont is kind of the perfect fit for them in that rotation and add some consistency. And they need a lefty in there. That would be a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he's added to that fold as well.
And then Neris.
That's a Cub. Yeah, Neris is a Cub.
Neris is a Cub. All right.
They're going to pay him a lot, and they don't care.
Top 5 stadiums that you've ever been to. We've done this before. I think the last time we did it was last off season. So we can go through it rather quickly. I have my top 5. So at number 5, Oracle in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Kauffman in Kansas City. Don't sleep on the waterfalls. Incredibly clean. Love that stadium. No one seems to care about it. I do. Number 4, Kansas City Royals, Kauffman Stadium. Number 3, probably the most beautiful landscape I've ever seen, Petco Park in San Diego. Number 2, Fenway Park in Boston. Kind of a no-brainer. And number 1, in the summertime, there's no better place to watch a game in any sport than Wrigley Field. So that is my top 5 stadiums I've ever been to. Apologies to PNC Park. Whenever we make these lists, Pirates fans come out of the woodwork. And by all accounts, if you've been there, they are completely right. I just have never been there. So it's my top 5 stadiums that I have been to. Shout out PNC. That's on my bucket list. I think I'm probably going to go to one this year. Just haven't been yet. Sue me. I'm sorry. Jack, go ahead.
I haven't been to PNC either. I really want to go to PNC. Again, I've heard amazing things. Number 1 for me is Wrigley. Bias aside, I think that place is awesome. And the facelift it got like a half decade ago, it makes that thing perfect. And they just added a sports book there, like that looks amazing. Like they are doing it right. And the ballpark neighborhood is great. Number 2 is Fenway. Like, just have to put that at number 2. Get it. Number 3 is Camden Yards. I love the Camden Yards experience.
Never
and like
been.
the crab fries, dude. Like, go get the crab fries and make a video. You have to do that this year.
All right.
Have to. Number 4 is Coors. I love the Coors Field vibe.
Good
There's
one.
something about it being a party, man. And then a new one at number 5. The overall experience for me going down to the DR and going to Estadio Juan Marichal in Domingo, that was amazing. Like, I scalped tickets in very broken Spanish, and they've got a Taco Bell in there, and your usher for your section is your bartender. So I got a styrofoam cup with ice, and then I got an empty water bottle filled with rum, and I just sat there and I got drunk, and I watched Miguel Andujar play baseball.
That is
it was
awesome.
sick.
Yeah.
That makes my top 5.
Yeah, we got to get out there. We got to get out there as a show one of these, maybe next off season. By the way, Lidom Championship Series is well underway. They're tied up. That's going to be a pretty fun finish. I saw Williams Astudillo fighting for his life. Fighting for his life in right field, took it off the chest, and I'm like, dude, people are saying I can't wait for baseball to come back. It's fucking here. It was a fly ball off the bat of Aristides Aquino that
legend
Williams Astudillo's running for, just like hits him right in the chest and rolls into foul territory. I'm like, this is the peak of baseball. So definitely tune into that if you got nothing going on. So for me, I'm not going to do it here. I generally like to separate the modern and the old, just because I think it's hard to compare them. Because I think the classic stadiums are automatically engraved as top stadiums when you look at Wrigley and Fenway. But in this instance, put them in there. And for those who may not know, I've mentioned it a few times on the show, but when I was 9 years old, my dad and I had the plan to go to all 30 baseball stadiums, and we got to 19 together. So now I've been finishing the rest with my friends or with you guys or whatever. So I'm at, I think, 25, but that doesn't include some of the new stadiums. So I still got like 6 or 7 to go. I haven't been to PNC either. I've been recommended that a million times, but of the ones that I've been to, Oracle, absolutely, like, just one of the best experiences you're going to have at a ballpark. Great fans, just great everything. Petco, I agree. Same thing, Peter, like, just one of my favorite experiences I've had. But then Camden is just like, Camden set the standard, I think, for all of the new stadiums to really have their own feel, to have their own character, and to also just be a really cool environment. And now seeing a lot of fans in there, I think you can really appreciate it. So Camden, no doubt for me. And then the 2 classic ones, of course, with Wrigley and Fenway. There's nothing quite like going to Wrigley, like you said, like on a nice day, and just soak that in. And then, of course, Fenway, it's just, I sit there and I just feel the history. I can see it every single time I stare at the monster. I can like relive so many different clips that I've seen a million times. And there's just something special about that place.
Shout out Citizens Bank Park. I was there for the playoff game. Quite possibly the greatest atmosphere I've ever been a part of. The only one that compares is the World Baseball Classic down at Lone Depot. And I told you, and I haven't been to a Lone Depot Marlins game, but we were there for the entirety of the World Baseball Classic, and I was very impressed with Lone Depot.
It's a nice ballpark, man. It's nice. Here's the thing: when next time you go, when we go for a Marlins game, you'll feel like you're watching like a high school game that's being played in a big league stadium, and the parents are so excited about their kid. Look, he's playing in the Marlins Stadium. Like that's what it feels like. You can like hear the conversations around you. So it's hard to really appreciate it. But when Lone Depot is open and the weather's nice, it is a beautiful stadium. It really
Beautiful
is.
stadium. Also, T-Mobile, Seattle, thought was incredible. We were there for the All-Star Game festivities. So much fun. The one stadium outside of PNC that I feel like has to be on the bucket list, of course, Camden is on that too because I've never been there. Truist Park in Atlanta. I've seen all the pictures.
Amazing.
That
Oh,
crowd has to
Truist
be
is awesome.
rowdy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Actually, that's one of my favorite I've been to in the last few years too.
Before we go, Jack, have you been to both Yankee Stadium and Citi Field?
Yes.
Which one do you like better?
City.
You like
City,
City? You like
City
City?
I think by a good amount.
Yeah, I'm biased. Give me Yankee
Yeah,
Stadium.
that burger with the grilled onions seemed good though.
Oh, the Judge Burger. No better
The
burger.
burger without the onions was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Onions. Yeah. We're not going to do this here. All right. Next question. Who is the prospect that can help a team challenge for a World Series that won't be on the opening day roster? Example, Evan Carter of the Texas Rangers. That was asked by Ben Wixier on Instagram. Just a little backstory on Evan Carter in case you've been living under a rock. Evan Carter was not on the opening day roster, came up, started hitting third, and the Texas Rangers won the World Series, and now he's at the top Rookie of the Year odds, and for good reason. The dude rakes.
Mhm.
Jack, throw it over to you first. A prospect who won't be on the opening day roster who you think can help a team challenge for a World Series. Because the question in itself, he's got to probably be on a good team, right? I'm sure there are good prospects on the Nationals, but I mean, I don't think any of us expect the Nationals in the World Series. So who's your answer?
Kobe Mayo. Kobe Mayo.
You
Kobe
fucking
Mayo.
asshole.
Kobe Mayo.
God.
I will let you elaborate.
No, you go. You go.
No, I'll let you elaborate because I've got a picture. Because I thought, like, and obviously pitching bias here, but when I saw the example as Evan Carter, I was like, oh man, let's stretch this. I thought a good example too is Brandon Pfaadt. Like Arizona's not in the position they were in without Brandon Pfaadt. Andrew Painter's out for the entirety of 2024. So my eyes immediately go to Mick Abel in Philly. There's a non-zero chance that if Abel figures something out, and I love the term non-zero, but there's a non-zero chance that if Abel figures something out command-wise, he can make a start in the postseason. Abel's my guy in that regard, but Aram, I will let you elaborate on Kobe Mayo.
Are you sure? I could
Yes.
pull
No, man.
multiple more.
Floor is yours.
Another name would be Lawler as well, but he's probably going to make the opening day roster.
He'll make the roster.
Yeah, that's going to be that's the problem. But Kobe Mayo is just a perfect example because you have an Orioles team that again like led the American League in wins, but also you look at the offense. Yeah, they're pretty loaded around across the infield, but Mayo's a guy that put up big numbers in Double-A, put up big numbers in Triple-A. He's a top 12 prospect for us. He might be top 10 in our 2024 update or our new top 100 list for 2024 that'll be coming up and as we get closer to the season. But with Mayo, he already walks. He hits the living crap out of the ball. He hits it in the air consistently. And we just talked about in the call-up, we just broke down the Orioles top prospects. I said if I could bet on one guy in this system to hit 40 home runs, in his career, through the first 5 years or so, it would be Kobe Mayo. And I love Basayo. I think he's unbelievable. I actually have him ranked higher than Mayo. But in terms of just sheer power and the way that he can just inject life into this offense if they need it, Kobe Mayo could come up in the second half of the season and give them big time power. I'm talking plus power and a great approach as well. Can play third, can play first. I think Mayo is the perfect answer for this because he can be an absolute monster. One other kind of darker horse, but just could get hot because of how good he swings the bat, how well he swings the bat, is a Brooks Lee. If the Twins are hanging around, Brooks Lee is just such a well-rounded player that I could just see him getting hot and getting on a nice little hitting streak and kind of get this Twins team that does tend to strike out a lot, it balanced out and help push that offense across the edge as the season winds down.
So my answer, I want to ask you guys if you think he could make a big league impact this year. Harry Ford of the Mariners, if he is able to come up, I know he's kind of far off. He finished the year in high A, but through every stop, he has just been raking. And I'm looking at walks and strikeouts. Last year, 103 walks, 109 strikeouts, plenty of stolen bases, stole 24. If the Mariners are able to make the playoffs and he's raking again, let's say in AA, maybe he gets the jump to AAA by the middle of the season, he might be more of a September call-up, but I feel like he could inject some life into this Mariners offense that I do think is going to struggle. So if the Mariners can make the playoffs based on their pitching, could he be a guy the Mariners call up, could play some outfield, maybe could, sub in at catcher when Cal Raleigh needs to move to the DH and just be a dynamic player? The reason I'm hesitant to say him is he going to make the majors this year, because he is only 20 years old, was drafted in the first round back in 2021. He might just still be a little bit far off. I'm obsessed with this guy's potential. Power, speed, good plate discipline, 400 OBP last year. I just don't know if he's going to make the majors this year.
Yeah, so I think it could happen if they start to play him somewhere other than catcher this year, and he's only caught because I think they want to develop him as a catcher. But now you're looking at Cal Raleigh, and I don't know if they're going to extend Raleigh or not, so that might be why they want to continue to develop Ford as a catcher. So it depends on how they use him early this year. If he starts to get some reps in center field, which he's a plus runner, like he could go be a good center fielder, then maybe maybe we could say, okay, yeah, maybe they force him up there. But I feel like it's been interesting with him. I almost feel like they've realized that they may not retain Raleigh, and I think they're trying to like carefully groom Ford as their catcher, which is interesting because I do think he could help them by the end of the year. But I think they're taking a unique approach with him.
So the one wrinkle in that is I do think the signing of Garver created like a jigsaw puzzle there, where it's like you need to move some pieces in order to get Ford in there. Because like, hey, Raleigh can't move to the DH because Garver's now plugging the DH spot, and assuming health, Ford's not going to catch this year. Problem also is if he gets reps in center, they've got a really good one. Dude, like maybe the best one in baseball. So do you move J-Rod off his spot? Do you move Ford to a corner? And Jonathan Clase also feels a bit more plug and play in center than Harry Ford probably does at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arn. Like I feel like Clase is just, you're getting top flight speed and decent defense, better that than a guy who was catching before this year and now like just sort of getting his feet wet in the outfield.
No, it's fair enough. And I got one other name I just thought of, Sajazi, Thomas Sajazi. Couldn't you see him go just nuts for the Cardinals?
Cycle.
Absolutely crazy. I don't know where he fits in. Again, someone could get hurt. I don't know. They'll find a spot. He can play all over the infield. Thomas Sajazi with the Cardinals, absolute steal to get him in that trade. From the Rangers and in that J-Mont deal. I think Sajazi could be a guy that ends up really contributing next year and goes crazy.
Let's get after it. Next question. What signing will have the biggest impact on their team besides the big guys? Ohtani, Soto, Hader, Glasnow, those big free agents. Who's kind of the under-the-radar free agent that you think is going to make a huge impact? That was asked by Jackson_Job3. Not the Jackson Job, but hey, shout out Jackson Job, listener of the Just Baseball show, Jackson Job. I have mine, kind of came just completely obvious to me as who I think could make a huge impact. That when the trade went down, I didn't feel like enough people were caring about this one. Jared Kelenic is going to the Braves. Guys, he's 24 years old, and in spurts, he looks like a superstar. What are the Braves best at? Getting the most out of these young outfielders. He's a guy that kind of nobody has talked about that could go crazy for them. He's 24. Like, we got to get tired of these guys. He kicked, what did he kick, a trash can and broke his toe, and he was out for the Mariners, and when everybody saw that press conference, how sad it was, he let his emotions get the best out of him. He had some comments about the Mariners of how they've handled him, but now he's on the Braves. You got no excuses, and you're still Jared Kelenic. Incredible talent. That could be the under-the-radar trade of the offseason. I think he's going to go crazy. Jack, what do you think?
He could be 3 times the player that Eddie Rosario was.
He could be so good.
The dream is there. For me, I was looking at an incredibly young but exciting lineup. And then Nick Krall absolutely aced the veteran signing in Jeimer Candelario. That team needed an older bat so badly. And Jeimer was an awesome get. And I think that guy is a steadying presence in a super exciting but super volatile young lineup is everything for a team that is trying to win their division this year.
I like it. And then for me, I'll go with the recent signing. I felt like whoever signed Reese Hoskins was going to get a great value deal. I know he tore his ACL. He sucked at defense already, anyways. He's either going to still be bad at defense or just DH plenty. I don't care. It's all about the bat there. And that guy's been one of the most consistent bats in the sport over the last like several handful of years. It's like a 120 something WRC plus every single year. He walks, he hits the ball in the air consistently. It's power that you can pretty much count on 27 to 30 home runs every single year. I think it's exactly what the Brewers needed. I think it really pushes the Brewers lineup, into another level here because they've got the speedy, young, fun guys that I do think could, put it all together. But I thought they needed one more guy to join Contreras and Yelich and some of these other pieces as, what you're getting. And it's nice to have another guy that what you're getting because part of what makes the Brewers appealing to me is I have no idea what they're going to get from Weimer, from Frelick, from Chourio, and in a good way. Like they could get something really impactful, even Garrett Mitchell. But now what you're getting with Hoskins. It balances out the lineup a little bit, and I think he's going to swing it really well out there, of course. And lastly, just glad to see the Brewers not tearing it down for the sake of tearing it down and actually add. It's good for baseball when teams don't inexplicably subtract for the sake of subtracting. So good on the Brewers for doing the bare minimum, but I am happy that they did.
Another one that I really liked qualifies as decently big impact. That's why I didn't include it. But Eduardo Rodriguez, the Diamondbacks kind of fell under the table a little bit, right? When we're talking about Blake Snell getting $200 million and all these guys being in the 9-figure type deals, to get him under that, I thought was a great signing there for Arizona. Next question, though. Who has been the worst contract handed out so far in free agency by its value? That was asked by Naoki Baseball Nerd on
He's
Instagram.
the man, by the way. Met him out in the Arizona Fall League. Great kid. Yeah, good luck with your season, buddy. I was just an awesome dude, just an encyclopedia already. Awesome dude. His dad took him to the AFL, so it's always awesome when you see that kind of connection. And just, I'm so glad he came over and said hello. Just such an awesome kid. So, thanks for the question. It's always great when he gets featured.
And Aram, go ahead. Worst contract value.
I had it written down. I don't know where I put it. Can we circle back to me?
Yeah, I have mine.
Go.
Craig Kimbrell was given $13.5 million.
Yeah.
Orioles.
Endorsed.
What are we doing, dude?
Endorsed.
You finally gave out a contract, and you're gonna get the guy. Ask a Phillies fan if they wanted Craig Kimbrell back. I guarantee you, none of them wanted him back.
Not one.
Not one. Now, Craig Kimbrell, maybe, his numbers didn't look that bad, but I'm telling you, Orioles fans, tie game. 8th or 9th inning, whoever has it between Cano and Kimbrell, just watch and just know that you gave him $13.5 million. Now you could say, well, the market, Peter, that's the market now. Would you rather have Kimbrell than Chapman? I don't know. Maybe.
I'd rather have Kyle Gibson.
I'd rather have Kyle Gibson. I'd rather have Frankie Montas for $3 million more. That. Good luck, Orioles fans. Good luck. Jack?
Yeah.
Or Arm, you want to go ahead? Whoever
I just remembered. I remember
now.
I don't know why I didn't write it down. In terms of AAV, I don't hate it, but I've never understood the Jordan Hicks thing. Like 4 years, $44 million for Jordan Hicks. Like I understand that he is a pretty solid arm in terms of the production that you've gotten. I understand that he's extremely talented. I just don't know if I want to attach myself to Jordan Hicks for 4 years just because of the volatility. I know he's coming off of the best year of his career. And also the idea that they're going to use him as a starter is just another aspect of it that I don't totally get. But attaching myself to 4 years, $44 million. And again, I know that's a low AAV in this market, but there's been stretches where he's often hurt. There's been stretches where you just can't keep the ball in the zone enough. I just don't totally get the appeal. And there's another guy. Yeah, the numbers are good. A 3.29 ERA is fine if he's a starter, but he wasn't a starter last year. Really, he was a reliever that they kind of counted on in some high leverage spots. And you don't want your closer with an ERA over 3. Generally, that means he blew some games, and Hicks did through stretches. I don't think it's the worst monetary value. It's kind of like the Cronenworth thing, not as egregious, obviously. I don't like the idea of attaching myself. I'd rather pay more money on shorter terms especially if you're the Giants that have a lot of, flexibility here. I just don't like attaching myself to a player like that for 4 years.
Jack?
I'm leading into this one, and I'm gonna get really close to the mic. Can you hear me like kind of muffled and all that? The LA Angels are paying Zach Plesac $1 million to pitch in Major League Baseball. How did they get away with that?
Shout out Zach Plesac.
Zach Plesac threw 147 fastballs in Major League Baseball last year. Opponents hit 500 against his fastball. And they're paying him $1 million to pitch. All right, bit over. I just needed to do that. He threw opponents hit 500. They were 17 for 38. They literally Fetty-Whopped his fastball.
I mean, would you rather pay 13x that for Kimbrel?
I can't. I wouldn't pay Zach Plesac $20,000 to pitch for my baseball team.
I hope he goes crazy, and I hope we get him on the show, and it's like a whole round around. It's like
all
hey,
over
Jack,
again.
He's a Ball State alum too. Like that's the thing. Like I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't have to, but I feel the moral obligation to tell you that the Angels are compensating this guy $1 million this year.
We do have to just talk about $1 million to pitch for us.
It's amazing.
Arm, anything else?
No, I like it. I like that pick.
All right. Last question of the mailbag is a good one. For $10,000, prime Aroldis Chapman throws you 100 fastballs, and you have to hit one out of the infield. No defense. If you lose, you have to take 105 miles an hour straight to the ribs. Are you making that bet? Asked by ABERCE_thumb. First of all, here's how I looked at the question. Would you take $10,000, the possibility to get hit with 105 in the ribs? Yes, I would. $10,000, I'm taking this bet. Now, you guys can say, Peter, you're overdoing yourself as an athlete. Whatever. Here's what I believe. If you give me 100 ABs to time up one pitch, he's not throwing me sliders. He's not.
No, it's 100 fastballs.
100 fastballs. And I know it's prime Aroldis Chapman. I know it's 105 miles an hour. But if you gave me 100 times to start adjusting to the speed, and he's throwing you 100 fastballs in a row. Aroldis Chapman is a reliever. Is that going to start going down to 96, 95? Or some of those at the tail end?
The argument, it's the same fastball.
And there's no defense. All right, same fastball, whatever. I think I would get one out of the infield. I'm taking that bet. I'm 60-40 that I could complete it, but 100% I'm taking the bet. Because I'll risk $10,000 to get 105 in the ribs. Yeah, it's going to hurt a ton. I'll probably have to go to the emergency room. They'll probably have to pump me with some sort of liquid. But I can also say, hey, I wore 105 to the ribs. What have you done? There's a lot of ways I'm taking this bet. A lot of ways.
I will say unequivocally, I am not taking this bet. I got in the cage the other day with Griff, and he had the machine dialed up to like fastball ride, and I think it was like just low 90s with ride. And dude,
just low
like
90s.
it was a joke. Like I could not even get close. I felt like I felt like I never played baseball in my life. And then finally, like I cheated so hard and timed it up and hit one. But
how many pitches?
I'm imagining.
How many pitches did it take?
Well, I started lefty, whiffed like 12 times. Then I flipped around to the right side and I think it was probably 8 more, and then I got it. But
100. You're getting 100 opportunities.
Yeah, it's also 10 miles an hour harder, crazy extension coming from a human arm, and different locations.
Yeah. Do we know if they're all in the strike zone? Like that's the thing.
Take one. Spin on it.
What if they're sprayed? No, like if it's a spray.
That's the problem too, though. You're not going to be able to spin on it. You're timing it up. You're going to be cheating. You're going to be starting your swing before he even releases the baseball. So if you're doing that, like you're swinging at balls too.
I just think it would be funny you whiff on 38 straight and then he throws one ball and you don't swing and you spit on it like you spit on the plate. Be like, bring it here. Got to get him fired up. That might not be a good plan, but I do it. My
Yeah, it's the
cocky
last
ass
guy I
would
want to
do
get
it and
fired
get
up.
screwed, but I'm going to try 100%.
I think it would become one of those things where it's just demoralizing and you're like, my bat was there. How did I not hit it? My bat was there. How did I not hit it? My bat was there. How did I not hit it? And especially with it changing locations and stuff, I don't think the cheating, and timing it up is going to work. I'm not doing it. There's no way I'm doing it because that 105 to the ribs could change my life. Like I just I won't be able to even like. It's gonna haunt me. I respect the confidence, and I will try to make this happen. Like I
Oh,
will find $10,000.
name the time,
I will
name the
find
pitcher.
Aroldis
I'm
Chapman.
there. I'm there. 100%. It's not one of these things where, oh, the time's come, Peter, you want to do it? No, no, no. Anyone, anywhere, 100 fastballs for $10,000. I don't care who it
Oh,
is. Put
I
me in the
can't wait
box.
to have my cousin who's an attorney draft up the injury, the because Chapman's not going to want you to be able to sue. He'll draft
No,
it up to be
waiver.
like, if my
Yeah.
fastball dismantles your ribs and punctures your lungs, you cannot sue me.
I would never do that. It's called ball. 1v1. Yeah. No, sometimes balls will hit me. No, but if it hit me on like the 43rd, that might end the competition. Because
Yeah,
with
but
no
that was
way I'm
worth it for
getting
me.
back in the box.
I
I'll
get
be a
my
pile of
10,000 back
dust.
and I get my 10,000 back and you got drilled. That's
No, ten thousand
everybody
dollars is
wins.
going towards the hospital bill.
So
You're
here's my
spending
thing.
$10,000 regardless.
I started
Worth
doing
it.
the I started doing the math like, hey, what's my out-of-pocket maximum if I went with like the premium insurance? Like you would need to, I think, maybe adjust your health insurance to the point where you're paying like 2,500 out-of-pocket maximum. So that way you're netting $7,500 when you go to the hospital.
Down.
You could do that. So go right ahead. My problem is, and the only reason I'm saying no, because I have supreme confidence in my abilities, lefty lefty just seems a little too tough. So I'm out.
That's true. Your lefty would be challenging. Arm, you'd have to go righty. I mean, no.
I'd have to go righty. And I like when I played in growing up, like I could handle velocity way better from the left side. So I'm cooked. It's a wrap.
You know what? If you gave me 50, I would still try. I'm not saying I would do it. That's not the point of this.
No, I know. It's that you
Would I
try,
try?
and I love it.
100% I would try.
I respect it. I
It would just
absolutely
be so
respect
much
it.
fucking fun anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to get a hit. I still, in the back of my mind, of course I'm going to get a hit, but we'll see. That was the Just Baseball Show mailbag. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was a banger. We went here for close to 2 hours now. We hope everybody enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, make sure to hit that merch store. Come on. I'm rocking the hat. Arm's rocking a polo. Jack's rocking nothing because he hates the company. Go
Yep.
get yours in the episode description. And then, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that big red subscribe button. Come on. It's free. It's free. And you get to see all of our rambunctiousness behind the camera. And then if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, feel free to rate and review 5 stars. It's really awesome. Helps our show a ton. And that'll be it. We'll be back on Monday. Jack, Aram, I'm Peter. And with that, thank you, everybody.